Hi, we are back live
Ooh,
with another mental model.
Oh, cool.
This is one of the really fundamental mental models. Ooh, that's a mouthful. It's basic, like really key. And we're standing on the shoulders of giants with Charlie Munger and standing on the shoulders of Charlie Munger and his more famous partner, Warren Buffett. Okay, this is a big one in their world. So the concept is, or the mental model is Circle of Competence. And the basic concept of that is having a deep knowledge in certain areas of life, right? And it's not something that you just go read a couple of books and, okay, now I'm an expert, right? This is something that you build up over time with, both study and a lot of experience. And so it's one of those, oftentimes it's an area where we have, a real deep interest or passion. And so it's just natural for us. And it's also easy to overlook those as being part of our circle of competence because
it comes so easy.
It comes easy, or it's just, I've always done that.
Like him and computers, me not so much.
Computers are definitely in my circle of competence.
Yeah, and the kitchen?
Not.
He knows where it's at.
Yes.
But you have no circle of competence.
And I know where to put the dishes away.
Yeah.
If I do it. Okay, so getting back to circle of competence, it's a specialization or a passion.
Oh, okay.
All right. So step one is to evaluate your circle of competence, knowing what it is, where the boundaries are.
Is that the same thing as strengths?
It includes, yes. So in relationship, like if you're facing a particular challenge, if something has come up and you're trying to decide, do I do this or do I invest in this or whatever, you need to think about what's verifiable data in your history, rather than what you just feel like you're capable of. Okay. And so that is bringing in, I've got to bring in a cognitive bias here, because there's a famous one called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Ooh.
Yes, when it's got two names, it's got to be fancy, right? So the Dunning-Kruger effect is where we have the natural tendency, this built-in bias, to overestimate either our knowledge or our capabilities.
Oh, I never.
And you ask a bunch of people, to rate themselves in a particular area, and they will always rate themselves higher than their actual skill level or knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, we've done a bunch of those. I might have done that.
It's not. I hear you, and so I'm. My mind's going to some blowhard, right? And we've all known a blowhard that just they're the expert in everything. It's not. That's an extreme, but that would be an illustration of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay. So back to circle of competence. We want to make sure that when we are taking something on, that we understand our circle of competence, that it's verifiable. There's evidence, external evidence, other people, and our past history. Okay. All right. Where this becomes a mental model and not just a concept is when we then define the boundaries of our circle of competence, and then using it, applying it, is spending the majority of our time within that circle.
Oh.
It's where you know that you know.
Okay.
Okay. So it's also very helpful in discerning when you can trust your gut and when you need to slow down and look a little deeper, to go more carefully. So when you know that you know, and you can trust your gut.
True.
Right? And you can think we've talked about fast thinking and slow thinking, and the fast thinking system is what we use most of the time. When we know we're out of our depth, if we've defined our circle of competence and we know we're in an area that we're out of our depth, then we know it's time to slow down. So you see how this is tying into other things we've talked about.
Look at you.
Woo!
Clever.
So I want to read a quote from Charlie Munger.
Okay.
I don't play in a game where other people are wise and I'm stupid. I look for a place where I'm wise and they're stupid. You have to know the edge of your own competency. I'm very good at knowing when I can't handle something. So
that's pretty darn
that
wise.
leads right into, this is a risk management tool. Okay, this circle of competence. You can minimize your risk and maximize your informational advantage. That's what he was really just talking about.
Right.
Right. Informational advantage is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Where I'm wise and they're stupid is the way he described it. But by staying inside your circle of competence.
Right.
Especially in terms of investing. Munger and Buffett talked about it in terms of, in one of the articles in the sources, talked about reading a lesson from Ted Williams' book about hitting, baseball hitting. He actually broke down the strike zone into 70 different areas, and he figured out just exactly where in that strike zone was his real sweet spot for his body, the way he swung and everything, and then he only swung at the things that were in that sweet spot.
And by the way, his aunt and his mother knew Ted Williams.
Yes. And so the way these masterful investors look at that or use that concept is to go where they know a lot and only invest there. So if for example, if they were really expert in the oil and gas industry, maybe because they'd worked in it 20 years. I'm making something up. I'm not saying that's their thing, but someone who has worked in the oil and gas industry for 20 years is more likely to be a savvy investor in that industry than if they then go
like me.
than if they go into food products or makeup. Like Avon or whatever, as far as being able to really make sharp, smart decisions about not where a company is and the soundness of a company.
Right.
So I'm over here waving my hand in the air behind your back. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I could do the thing. Oh my goodness. Okay.
And you think it's just me.
So the other side of the coin here is that if we only play for all the time in our comfort zone, our circle of competence, then we don't grow.
Yeah.
So this circle of competence is not a static thing. It's something that we can expand.
Right.
It's just not something we can expand rapidly. Okay. We can grow it over time by getting going to the edges, getting just a little outside the edges, and taking a little risk where we're outside. So in terms of risk, you could look at it as the 80-20, apply the 80-20 principle, right? You could spend 80% of your time in your zone of competency, your circle of competence, and that's where you would take your more calculated, predictable risks. And then 20% of the time, you could, try smaller amount of risk, and also fewer times that you would be outside your circle of competence. And that's how you would grow it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So actionable takeaways. Mm-hmm. Okay. Play to your strengths. Real simple.
I like that.
Play to your strengths.
Right.
We've all heard that. Right. This is, a specific way to do that.
Right.
Okay. Use your passions and your interests to help identify your circle of competence. We covered that. Supplement yourself with diversity, meaning locate other people and identify their circle of competence and build your team around you. So where you're not strong, build a team of people that are strong in those different areas.
Okay.
In business, that's like, you want to have a really good attorney and a really good CPA and a really good financial advisor, right? That's like a core team.
A really good coach.
And a really good her. She's a really good coach. So then engage with those people, from their circle of competence. Wherever you can, play to other people's strengths, meaning engage them in their areas of strength.
And support them.
And try to avoid the Dunning-Kruger effect in others.
There you go. We really need to do that one.
Don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but I'll find out. That's the key.
Yeah, I have.
I don't know, but I'll find out. So that's...
that.
Well, there's a whole, there's another framework there, right? And with the I don't know, there can be some self-judgment and some and some certainty about I don't know, and I might never know. Okay,
True.
And that's where if we say, but I'll find out, now we're taking action.
There we go.
Okay, we're moving forward, and we're that's more growth oriented. And then grow and learn, expand your circle.
Cool.
So. Hopefully this has been
fun,
enlightening and helpful to you, and we'll see you in another video. Thanks.